The shotgun blast echoed through the crisp autumn air of rural Ohio, shattering the illusion of a perfect family barbecue like glass under a boot heel. Justin's heart slammed against his ribs as he dropped the beer bottle from his hand, shards exploding across the dew-kissed grass, while his brother Brandon's voice cut through the stunned silence like a rusty blade. "You think you're fooling anyone with that limp-wrist bullshit, little bro? Crawl back in the closet before you embarrass us all over again." Laughter erupted from the cluster of cousins and uncles around the fire pit. But it wasn't the warm kind, it was the jagged, mean-spirited chuckle of men who'd spent too many Sundays nursing beers and grudges, their eyes glinting with the kind of small-town judgment that stuck like burrs. Justin stood frozen on the edge of the yard, the scent of charred burgers mingling with the metallic tang of his own rising panic. At 25, he was no stranger to the weight of expectation in Milford, Ohio, where the cornfields stretched like endless accusations and the local diner still whispered about that queer kid from the Harlan place. He'd come out 3 years ago, in a tear-soaked confession to their parents during a Thanksgiving that ended with slammed doors and a week of radio silence. But Brandon, his big brother by 5 years, the golden boy with the quarterback shoulders and the easy grin that could charm a room full of skeptics, had always been the shield. Or so Justin thought. Until now, with Brandon's face twisted in that mocking sneer, pointing at the rainbow pin on Justin's flannel shirt like it was a goddamn scarlet letter. "Fuck you, Brand," Justin spat, his voice cracking like thin ice, but the words dissolved into the roar of the bonfire. He turned on his heel, boots crunching gravel as he stormed toward the old Ford pickup parked under the oak tree that had held their tire swing since they were kids. The engine roared to life before anyone could follow, tires spinning mud into the air like a final fuck you to the family legacy. As he peeled out onto Route 23, the rearview mirror caught a glimpse of Brandon standing there, arms crossed, that smirk fading just a fraction, enough to plant a seed of doubt in Justin's gut. But doubt was a luxury he couldn't afford, not when the humiliation burned hotter than the fading taillights. Miles blurred into a haze of golden-hour sun dipping behind silos, and Justin's phone buzzed relentlessly on the passenger seat. Mom pleading, Dad grumbling about family unity, and a dozen cousins with awkward emojis that felt like pity punches. He ignored them all, cranking the radio until classic rock drowned out the echo of Brandon's words. By the time he hit the outskirts of Columbus, the skyline's jagged teeth rising like a promise of anonymity, his hands were shaking too hard to grip the wheel properly. He pulled into a dive bar on High Street, the kind with neon signs flickering Bud Light Special, and a jukebox that hadn't been updated since Clinton was president. One whiskey neat turned into 3, each burn a small rebellion against the boy who'd once bandaged his scraped knees and sworn they'd conquer the world together. That's where he met Alex. Or rather, where Alex met him, sliding onto the stool next to Justin with the casual grace of someone who owned every room he entered. Alex Rivera, 28, with olive skin that glowed under the bar's amber lights, dark curls that begged to be tugged, and eyes like polished obsidian that saw right through the bullshit. He was a graphic designer from the city, in town for a freelance gig at some hipster coffee roastery, but his smile said he was here for whatever chaos Justin brought. "Rough night?" Alex asked, his voice a low rumble with a faint New York edge, clinking his IPA against Justin's empty glass. Justin laughed, bitter and broken. "You could say that." Brother Dearest decided family reunion was code for public execution. The words tumbled out unbidden. The barbecue, the shotgun, a celebratory shot for Uncle Ray's birthday. Not literal violence. Thank God. The laughter that clawed at his insides. Alex listened without interruption. his fingers tracing lazy circles on the scarred bar top. And when Justin finished, there was no pity, just a quiet fire in those eyes. "Sounds like your brother's got his own demons chasing him," Alex said, leaning in close enough that Justin caught the scent of sandalwood and city rain. "But you're out here living. Man, that's braver than most." They talked until last call, the bar emptying around them like a slow tide. Alex's stories of growing up queer in the Bronx, dodging street toughs and family disownments, wove a thread of solidarity that Justin hadn't felt in years. When Alex offered to split an Uber back to his Airbnb in the short north, Justin hesitated only a second before nodding. The ride was electric silence, knees brushing in the dim back seat, and by the time they tumbled through the door of the loft-style rental overlooking Goodale Park, the humiliation from Milford felt like a distant storm cloud. Their first kiss was tentative, exploratory, Alex's lips soft against Justin's chapped ones, tasting of hops and hope. It deepened quickly, hands roaming with the urgency of two men who'd spent too long hiding. Clothes hit the floor in a trail from the door to the king-sized bed, and for the first time that night, Justin forgot the sting of betrayal. Alex was patient, reverent, mapping Justin's body like a sacred text, fingers tracing the freckles across his chest, mouth following the curve of his hip. "You're beautiful," Alex murmured against his skin, and Justin believed him, if only for the span of those breathless hours. They moved together in a rhythm that felt like coming home, sweat slicked and sighing, until exhaustion claimed them in a tangle of limbs. Morning light slanted through the blinds, painting Alex's sleeping form in stripes of gold. Justin watched him for a long moment, chest rising and falling steadily, before slipping out of bed to brew coffee in the tiny kitchenette. The normalcy of it, the clink of mugs, the hiss of the machine, felt surreal after the night's wreckage. His phone, silenced since the drive, lit up with a voicemail from Brandon. "Hey, Jay. Look, I had a few too many. Didn't mean it like that. Come back. Yeah. Mom's making pie." The casual dismissal twisted like a knife, but Justin deleted it without replying. He wasn't ready for olive branches that smelled like poison. Alex stirred then, patting over in nothing but boxers, wrapping arms around Justin from behind. "Morning, handsome. You look like you're plotting world domination." His chin rested on Justin's shoulder, warm and solid. They ate cereal on the fire escape, legs dangling over the alley below, trading stories of exes and dreams. Alex wanted to launch his own design studio, something bold and unapologetically queer-focused. Justin confessed his stalled ambitions, a community college dropout slinging lattes at a chain in Columbus, dreaming of art school but too scared to apply. "What's stopping you?" Alex asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. "Fear, I guess. Of failing. Of being the family fuck-up." Justin shrugged, but Alex's gaze pinned him. "Failure's just feedback, babe. And fuck-ups? They're the ones who make the best stories." By noon, they dressed and wandered the arts district, hands brushing in crowded galleries, stealing kisses in shadowed corners. It was easy, this budding thing between them, effortless in a way that made Justin's chest ache with possibility. But as the sun climbed higher, his phone buzzed again, a text from Dad. "Brandon's asking for you. Something's off with him. Get home." The drive back to Milford was a reluctant surrender, Alex's borrowed hoodie smelling like him draped over the seat. They parted with a lingering kiss at the city limits, promises of weekend visits exchanged like talismans. "Call me when you get there," Alex said, thumb stroking Justin's jaw. And remember, you're not alone in this shitshow. Justin nodded, throat tight, and hit the gas. Home was the same weathered farmhouse, porch sagging under the weight of too many regrets. Mom met him at the door, flour-dusted apron and worry lines etched deep. "Oh, honey," she whispered, pulling him into a hug that smelled of cinnamon and defeat. Dad grunted from the living room, eyes on the TV's muted football game. Brandon was upstairs, claiming a migraine from the festivities. But when Justin knocked on his door, the response was a muffled piss off. That night, dinner was a minefield of forced small talk, silverware clinking like accusations. Brandon shoveled mashed potatoes, avoiding Justin's gaze, his usual bravado dimmed to a sullen flicker. "Sorry about yesterday," he muttered finally, not quite meeting eyes. Heat of the moment. Justin wanted to believe him, to bridge the chasm with brotherly grace. But the words felt hollow, laced with the unspoken "but you're still a fag." He excused himself early, retreating to his childhood room with its faded posters of indie bands and a twin bed that creaked under his weight. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with shotgun blasts and Alex's laugh. By dawn, the house stirred with the low hum of normalcy. Mom's radio crooning country tunes, Dad's truck rumbling away to the mill. Justin scrolled through texts from Alex, a grin tugging despite the fog, photos of street art, a voice note humming an off-key tune. It was a lifeline, that connection, pulling him toward something brighter than Milford's gray skies. But as he descended the stairs for coffee, a crash shattered the quiet, glass shattering in the kitchen, followed by a guttural groan. Heart lurching, Justin bolted forward. Brandon slumped against the cabinets, shards of a mug glittering around him like fallen stars, his face ashen, one hand clutched to his chest. "Jus," he gasped, eyes wide with something deeper than pain. Fear, raw and unfiltered. Justin dropped to his knees, dialing 911 with trembling fingers, the operator's calm voice a distant anchor as he pressed a dish towel to Brandon's sweating brow. "Hang on, man. Just hang on." The ambulance wailed into the driveway like Judgment Day, paramedics swarming with efficient chaos. Mom sobbed in the doorway, Dad's truck screeching back minutes too late. Justin rode in the back, holding Brandon's hand, cold, clammy, as monitors beeped a frantic Morse code. At the ER in Columbus General, doctors buzzed like bees. Possible heart episode, stress-induced arrhythmia. Run the tests. Hours blurred in the waiting room's vinyl purgatory, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the vending machines hum a mocking lullaby. When they finally let him in, Brandon was propped up, for dripping saline into his vein, monitors casting green glows on his pallid skin. "Hey, kid," he rasped, attempting that old grin, but it cracked at the edges. Justin sank into the chair, exhaustion warring with anger. "What the hell, Bran? You scared the shit out of us." Brandon's laugh was a wheeze. "Yeah, well, turns out I'm not invincible." They sat in loaded silence, the beeps punctuating unspoken histories, the roughhousing in backyards, the shared secrets under blanket forts, the slow erosion of trust. "You meant what you said yesterday," Justin ventured finally, voice low. "About embarrassing the family." Brandon's jaw tightened, gaze flicking to the window where city lights twinkled mockingly. It's complicated, Jay. Dad's retiring soon. The mill's cutting shifts. Can't have distractions. The excuse landed like a slap, but before Justin could retort, a nurse bustled in with charts, and the moment fractured. That night, as Justin dozed in the recliner, Alex's text lit his phone. Heard about your bro. On my way. Relief flooded hot and unexpected. By morning, Alex arrived with takeout burritos and a duffel of clothes, his presence a bomb in the sterile storm. He charmed the nurses with easy banter, held Justin through a breakdown in the hallway, whispering, "You're stronger than this place knows." Brandon watched them from his bed. Expression unreadable. A flicker of envy? Curiosity? Justin couldn't tell. But for the first time, the walls between them felt paper-thin. Days bled into a rhythm of hospital beige and beeping machines, the ER's controlled frenzy giving way to the cardiology wing's quieter vigil. Brandon stabilized, ejection fraction low but manageable, meds adjusted, discharge papers looming like a parole hearing. Justin split time between the bedside and stolen moments with Alex, who crashed on a lumpy cot in the family lounge, his sketches of hospital graffiti a quirky distraction from the dread. "This place is a goldmine for urban decay vibes," Alex quipped one afternoon, charcoal smudging his fingers as he captured the cracked paint on a hallway wall. Justin leaned against him, head on shoulder, the simple contact grounding him amid the chaos. But beneath the surface calm, fissures ran deep. Brandon's episodes, as the docs called them, weren't just physical stress tests revealed cortisol spikes off the charts, echoes of a life built on high-wire acts. He'd taken over Dad's shift at the mill after college dropout, the family anchor in a sea of layoffs and opioid whispers that haunted Milford's hollowed-out Main Street. "Gotta keep it together for them," Brandon confessed one evening, voice gravelly from disuse, as Justin peeled an orange in the dim light. "You get that, right? The Harlan name's all we've got left." Justin paused, citrus tang sharp on his tongue. "And what about me? Am I just the loose thread you gotta snip?" The question hung heavy, laced with the barbecue's venom. Brandon shifted, wincing at the tug of monitors. "That was bullshit, Jay. I was pissed. About work. About Dad riding my ass. You just caught the fallout." It wasn't apology enough, but it cracked the door, and Justin stepped through, offering segments of orange like peace treaties. They talked then, haltingly, about the old days, when Brandon shielded him from bullies with fists and fierce loyalty, about the drift after Justin came out, Brandon's silence a growing gulf. Alex's presence complicated things, a vibrant intrusion in the room's muted tones. He brought playlists of indie folk and queer anthems, low volume on his phone, and once, during a slow shift, he sketched Brandon mid-rant about hospital jello, capturing the crinkle of his brow with uncanny accuracy. "Not bad, city boy," Brandon grunted, studying the drawing with reluctant admiration. Alex grinned, unoffended. "Flattery will get you nowhere, Harlan. But seriously, ever thought about modeling? You've got that brooding lumberjack thing going." The banter eased tensions, a bridge Justin hadn't known he needed, but he caught Brandon's glances lingering on Alex a beat too long, a shadow of something unspoken. Discharge day dawned crisp, October leaves swirling like confetti outside the window. Dad arrived in his flannel uniform, Mom with Tupperware of meatloaf, the family unit reassembling like puzzle pieces forced to fit. Justin drove Brandon home in the old Ford, Alex following in his rental Civic. The convoy a makeshift parade back to Milford. The farmhouse felt smaller upon return, walls closing in with the scent of mothballs and memory. Brandon claimed the couch for recovery, remote in hand, but his eyes glazed over the game, flicking instead to Justin and Alex murmuring in the kitchen. That night, over pot roast that Mom swore was healing food, the air thickened with undercurrents. Dad cleared his throat, fork scraping plate. "Good to have you back, son." Mills holding steady. "Your spot's open when you're ready." Brandon nodded mechanically, but Justin saw the flinch, the invisible noose tightening. After dinner, as Alex helped with dishes, Brandon pulled Justin aside in the mudroom, voice a urgent whisper. "Who's the guy, Jay?" "For real," Justin bristled, drying his hands on a towel. "Alex. And yeah, we're seeing where it goes." "Problem?" Brandon's laugh was hollow. "Nah, just be careful. Small town, you know? Folks talk." The concern rang false, laced with the same old caution, but Justin let it slide, chalking it up to post-hospital fragility. Later, in the guest room, Alex's arms wrapped around him like armor. "Your brother's watching us like we're a damn rom-com," he teased, lips brushing Justin's ear. They made love quietly, mindful of creaking floorboards, bodies sinking in the moonlit hush, a sanctuary amid the storm. The following weeks unfolded in fragile normalcy. Brandon eased back to light duties at the mill, Justin commuting to his barista gig in Columbus, weekends a blur of Alex's loft and lazy brunches at Fox in the snow. Their relationship deepened, roots sinking into shared vulnerabilities. Late-night confessions about foster stints for Alex, the terror of disownment, Justin's sketches, hidden in drawers, blooming under Alex's encouragement. "Apply to that program at CCAD," Alex urged one rainy Sunday, fingers tangled in Justin's hair. "I'll mock up your portfolio. We've got this." For the first time, Justin believed in we, the word a warm ember against the chill of his past. But Milford's underbelly simmered. Whispers at the diner about the Harlan boys and their city friend slithered through pews at Sunday service, Dad's jaw setting harder with each sidelong glance. Brandon, once the town's Teflon defender, withdrew, nights spent nursing whiskeys on the porch, staring at fireflies like lost signals. Justin confronted him one humid evening, fireflies winking in the yard like accusatory eyes. "What's eating you, Bran? This isn't just the heart thing." Brandon's grip tightened on the bottle, knuckles white. "Nothing. Just tired of the bullshit." The breaking point came at the annual Harvest Festival. Milford's bid for Americana Charm with hayrides and pumpkin ale under strung lights. The family went en masse, a show of unity, Alex tagging along with his urban flair, a vintage leather jacket that turned heads. They laughed through cornhole games, Alex's competitive streak drawing cheers. But as dusk fell and the bonfire roared to life, shadows lengthened. Brandon, 3 beers deep, clapped Justin on the back too hard, slurring, "Look at you, little bro, parading your rainbow around like it's a badge." The words slithered out, venom masked as jest, but the crowd's titter confirmed the strike. Justin froze, Alex's hand on his arm a steadying force. "Not here, Bran. Not tonight." But Brandon pressed, eyes glassy. "Come on. It's funny. Remember when we used to prank the queers in high school? Good times." The slip we hung like smoke, and Justin's world tilted. High school pranks. Slurs scrawled on lockers. A shoved kid into the creek. Brandon had been the ringleader, Justin the silent accomplice, too scared to dissent. Rage boiled up, hot and clarifying. You were the fucking king of that crap. And now, you're doing it to me. The argument escalated, voices rising over the fiddle band's twang, drawing a circle of gawkers, cousins, neighbors, the pastor's wife with her pearl clutch. Alex tried to pull Justin away, but Brandon lunged, grabbing his collar. Stay out of family business. Fairy. The slur exploded like the shotgun from weeks ago, and the crowd gasped, a mix of shock and schadenfreude. Justin shoved back, fist connecting with Brandon's jaw in a crack that echoed. Chaos erupted, Dad hauling Brandon off, Mom's wail cutting through, Alex shielding Justin as fists and shouts flew. They fled to the truck, Alex behind the wheel, peeling out amid jeers. That asshole? Justin seethed, knuckles bruising, tears hot on his cheeks. Alex's hand found his thigh, squeezing. Hey, breathe. You're out of that poison now. But the betrayal festered, a wound reopened. Back in Columbus, they crashed at Alex's, the loft a refuge of exposed brick and possibility. Yet sleep evaded Justin, replaying the slur, the shove, Brandon's face, not just drunk, but desperate, like a man cornered by his own ghosts. The next morning brought fallout. Texts from Mom pleading mediation, Dad's curt handle your shit. Brandon's silence was deafening, a void that sucked at Justin's resolve. He threw himself into art applications. Alex's portfolio tweaks a lifeline, but doubt crept in. Could he escape Milford's gravity? A week later, a call from the ER shattered the fragile peace. Brandon, readmitted, arrhythmia flaring worse. Get here now, the nurse said, urgency underscoring every syllable. The drive was a blur of autumn decay, leaves rotting under tires. Alex came to, hand in Justin's as they navigated the familiar halls. Brandon lay smaller in the bed, monitors a frantic symphony, doctors murmuring about ablation procedures and lifestyle overhauls. Idiot pushed too hard at work, he joked weakly when Justin entered, but his eyes, haunted, pleading, betrayed the lie. As night fell, family filtered out, leaving the brothers alone with the hum of machines. Why, Bran? Justin whispered, chair pulled close. Why push me away like that? Brandon's breath hitched, a tear escaping. Because I'm scared, Jay. Scared of what people see in me. The confession dangled, incomplete, but it shifted something fundamental, a crack in the armor, revealing the boy beneath. The hospital room became a confessional booth in the days that followed, fluorescent penance for sins unspoken. Brandon's second admission stretched into a week of tests and therapies, the cardiology team layering on beta blockers and counseling referrals like bricks in a rebuilding wall. Justin visited daily, the commute a ritual of podcasts and Alex's good luck texts, each mile peeling back layers of resentment. Their talks meandered from surface grievances to buried bones, the pressure of being the man of the house after Dad's back gave out. The Mills whispers about soft foremen who couldn't hack the overtime, the way Brandon's marriage to high school sweetheart Lisa had crumbled 2 years back, not with fireworks but a quiet unraveling of mismatched dreams. You never talk about it, Justin said one gray afternoon, rain pattering the window like impatient fingers. Brandon shrugged, for line tugging. What's to say? She wanted kids. Picket fence. Couldn't picture it. Felt like a trap. The admission hovered, laced with subtext that made Justin's pulse quicken. Lisa's departure had been Milford's favorite gossip. Poor girl. Stuck with a workaholic. But Brandon's isolation afterward, the dive into Bud Light and bachelorhood, now cast in sharper relief. And me coming out, that just amplified it. Made me look at my own shit. Justin leaned forward, elbows on knees. Your shit being? Brandon's gaze dropped to the blanket, fingers pleating fabric. Doubts. About who I am. Who I want. The words were a whisper, but they landed like thunder, echoing the slurs he'd hurled. Justin's mind reeled. Brandon, the hetero archetype, the guy who'd dated cheerleaders and cracked jokes about no homo, grappling with the same shadows? It reframed the humiliations. Not excusing but explaining. Projection. A mirror cracked by self-loathing. Alex sensed the shift without prompting. His intuition a quiet superpower. That evening, as they debriefed over greasy diner fries in the hospital cafeteria, he squeezed Justin's hand under the table. Sounds like your brother's got a coming-out story brewing. Heavy stuff. Justin nodded, ketchup blurring on his plate. Yeah. Makes me feel less alone, I guess. But what if it's too late? After the festival, Alex's eyes softened, thumb tracing Justin's knuckles. Forgiveness isn't a deadline, babe. It's a choice. And you've got the biggest heart in Ohio. Emboldened, Justin pushed deeper in their next visit. With Brandon more mobile, propped on pillows sketching aimless doodles on a napkin, surprising talent for a mill rat, they circled the core. Remember Coach Riley? Brandon started, voice steadying. Senior year, after practice. He cornered me in the locker room, said some shit about real men proving it. Justin's stomach twisted. Coach Riley, the mustache-twirling tyrant who'd made gym class hell. He touched you. Brandon shook his head. Nah, just words. Threats if I didn't man up, but it stuck. Made me double down. Dates, fights, anything to drown it. The pieces slotted, the pranks, the bravado, the venom at the barbecue. Brandon's eyes glistened. When you came out, Jay, it was like staring at my own fear. I lashed out to keep it buried. Justin reached across, gripping his brother's forearm, the contact electric with shared history. Burying it almost killed you, man. Twice now. Brandon's laugh was watery. Yeah. Docs say stress is the trigger. Guess hating yourself qualifies. Discharge loomed again, this time with a planned cardiac rehab in Columbus, closer to Justin's orbit. Mom fussed with schedules. Dad thawed with gruff offers of truck rides. But the real pivot was Brandon's quiet request. Can I crash at your place for a bit? Till I'm steady? Justin hesitated, scars of the festival raw, but nodded. Yeah. But ground rules, no bullshit. Alex, ever the optimist, cleared space in his loft, turning the spare room into a recovery nook with secondhand weights and motivational prints. The move was a logistical circus. Mom's lasagna drop-offs, Dad's silent nod of approval, Alex's playlist of chill lo-fi to ease the transition. Brandon arrived wide-eyed at the short North's vibrancy. Galleries aglow, street musicians strumming under fairy lights, queer couples hand in hand without a second glance. This place. It's like another planet, he muttered, duffel slung over shoulder. Alex clapped him on the back. Welcome to the mothership, Harlan. Coffee's brewing, black. No frills. The domesticity unfolded tentatively. Mornings of Alex's smoothies and Justin's eggs. Afternoons of rehab walks in Goodale Park where leaves crunched underfoot like brittle apologies. But harmony was a tightrope. Brandon's rehab sessions unearthed more. Therapy sessions where he unpacked the coach's shadow, the mill's toxic masculinity, the ache of unexamined desires. Evenings, he'd join Justin and Alex for movie nights, picking apart rom-coms with surprising insight that meet-cute's forced. Real life's messier. One night, over takeout Thai, he asked haltingly, "How'd you know, Jay, that you were gay?" Justin shared his story, the crush on the theater kid in high school, the stolen glances that bloomed into certainty. Alex chimed in with Bronx tales of drag shows and underground parties, normalizing the narrative. Subtle shifts marked Brandon's thaw, a lingering look at the bartender with the sleeve tattoos during a guy's night out, a doodle of two silhouetted figures in his sketchpad, discarded sheepishly. Justin noticed but didn't pry, giving space for the chrysalis to crack. Their bond mended in fragments, inside jokes revived, a pickup basketball game in the park where Brandon's rusty jump shot drew cheers. Yet, undercurrents swirled. Lisa texted Brandon out of the blue, fishing for reconciliation, and his evasion, "Not ready," spoke volumes. The betrayal's echo resurfaced at a gallery opening. Alex dragged them to a queer artist showcase in a converted warehouse. Vibrant canvases screamed identity, rainbow abstracts, portraits of intertwined bodies, and the crowd pulsed with unapologetic energy. Justin thrived, arm around Alex as they sipped cheap wine, but Brandon tensed beside them, beer bottle sweating in his fist. It's a lot," he admitted, voice pitched low. A drag queen in glittering heels swept by, air-kissing Alex, and Brandon's flush wasn't just the alcohol. Later, in a shadowed corner amid sculptures of embracing forms, a man approached, mid-30s, salt and pepper beard, exuding quiet confidence. "Love the energy here," he said, eyes on Brandon. "You an artist too?" Brandon stammered a denial, but the stranger, Mark, a local sculptor, pressed a card into his hand. "If you ever want to talk shop." Or otherwise. The flirtation hung blatant, and Brandon pocketed it with a nod, cheeks burning. Outside, rain slicked the streets, neon reflecting in puddles. Justin hailed a ride, Alex chattering about a piece that screamed your vibe, Jay. But Brandon lagged, card burning a hole in his pocket. Back at the loft, as Justin and Alex tangled in bed, laughter spilling into the hall, Brandon lay awake in the guest room, staring at the ceiling's water stain. The card sat on the nightstand, Mark's number a siren call. Weeks blurred into tentative exploration. Brandon aced rehab milestones, landing a remote logistics gig for a Columbus firm. Less grit, more desk, a win for his ticker. He started therapy solo, sessions spilling into post-run debriefs with Justin along the Scioto Mile, where joggers blurred past and the river whispered absolution. One crisp November morning, fog veiling the skyline, Brandon stopped mid-stride, breath clouding. "I think I'm bi, Jay. Or something. Doesn't fit the boxes." Justin halted, clapping his shoulder. "Boxes are for cereal, man. You do you." Emboldened, Brandon texted Mark. Coffee turned to walks to dinners, platonic at first, then charged with possibility. He confided in Justin over late-night beers on the fire escape. He's easy to talk to. No judgment. Justin grinned, clinking bottles. "That's the magic. Ride it." Alex, sensing the bloom, invited Mark to a low-key game night, the four of them folding into laughter over Cards Against Humanity, barriers dissolving like sugar in tea. But Milford's shadow loomed. Dad called, voice edged, "Heard your brother's shacking up in the city. Playing house with artists." The implication stung, dredging old fears. Brandon's response was measured. Just healing, Dad. But the call left him rattled, pacing the loft like a caged wolf. Justin mediated a family dinner at a neutral Italian spot in German village. Bridges rebuilt over tiramisu and tales of rehab triumphs. Mom beamed. Dad grunted approvals. But as they parted, his aside to Brandon, "Proud of you, son. Just stay the course," carried weight. The idol fractured on a snowy December eve. Brandon, emboldened by Mark's kiss after a holiday market stroll, soft, tentative under twinkling lights, decided to come out to the family. He chose Christmas Eve at the farmhouse. Fairy lights twinkling on the mantel. Bing Crosby crooning from the radio. Gathered around the tree, eggnog steaming, he cleared his throat. "Folks, I've got something. Like Justin, I'm queer. Bi, specifically. Been hiding it too long." Silence crashed like a dropped ornament. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's face stone. Then Lisa, invited for old time's sake, sneered from the corner, wineglass trembling. "Knew it. That's why you couldn't commit. Fucking coward." The slur ignited, and Brandon recoiled. But worse followed. Dad's rumble. This family's had enough scandal. And a cousin's whisper. "Two of 'em? Harlan names ruined." Justin surged to his feet. Alex's grip his anchor. "Enough. We're your sons. Not scandals." But the room erupted, accusations flying. Lisa storming out with a parting shot. "I always suspected. Should have outed you years ago." Betrayal sliced deep. Lisa, privy to Brandon's doubts during their marriage, had weaponized silence until now. Her revelation a grenade lobbed for spite. They fled into the snow, the Ford's wipers battling flurries. Alex at the wheel while Justin held Brandon as sobs racked him. "She knew," Brandon choked, "and said nothing till it hurt most." Back in Columbus, Mark waited with hot cocoa and open arms. But the wound festered, trust shredded. The Christmas debacle rippled outward like a stone in a frozen pond, cracking the thin ice of Milford's fragile tolerance. Whispers metastasized into outright hostility. Tires slashed on Justin's truck outside the diner. Fag brothers keyed into the paint one bitter dawn. Brandon's remote job interview tanked when a Milford connection vetted his lifestyle. Mom called daily, voice quavering between defense and despair. "Your father's coming around. Boys. Give it time." But Dad's texts were curt silences, a void louder than shouts. Lisa, emboldened by her villain arc, posted cryptic Facebook rants about betrayal in the heartland, tags ensuring viral venom in their 300-friend echo chamber. Justin and Brandon hunkered in the loft, a queer bunker amid the city's indifferent hum. Alex turned mediator and morale officer, stocking the fridge with comfort carbs and organizing Fuck Milford movie marathons, the birdcage on repeat, Robin Williams' flamboyant defiance a talisman. Mark became a fixture, his sculptor's hands steadying Brandon's shakes, their dates evolving from tentative coffees to overnights where Justin woke to muffled laughter filtering through walls. "He's good for you," Justin told his brother one morning over pancakes, Alex flipping them with theatrical flair. Brandon's smile was shy, genuine. "Yeah. Feels right. Scary as hell, but right." Yet the siege wore them down. Justin's art school application, polished to perfection with Alex's input, arrived with a deferral letter budget cuts. They claimed, but the timing reeked of bias after a concerned alum flagged his personal circumstances. Rage simmered. He channeled it into urban sketches, charcoal storms on paper that Alex framed unasked. "This is your voice, Jay," he said, hanging them gallery style. "Scream with it, Brandon." Meanwhile, dove into therapy's deep end, unpacking the coach's ghost in EMDR sessions that left him drained but lighter. Mark's post-session massages a quiet anchor. A fragile counteroffensive brewed in early January, when Alex pitched a queer art pop-up for Pride's off-season Echo, a heart's unhidden showcase in a vacant Short North storefront. "Your stories, your mediums," he rallied over wine and whiteboards. "Turn the hurt into heat." Justin hesitated, exposure's double edge, but Brandon signed on, his napkin doodles evolving into bold abstracts of fractured masculinity, blues and reds bleeding like bruises healing. Mark contributed clay torsos, intertwined and unapologetic. Alex handled graphics, posters plastered across coffee shops with taglines, "From humiliation to humanity, see the truth." The event coalesced amid blizzards and deadlines. Volunteers from Columbus's thriving LGBTQ+ scene pitching in, drag queens on set design, bakers donating rainbow cupcakes. Rehearsals in the loft buzzed with creative chaos. Brandon pinning canvases, sweat beading despite the chill. Justin fine-tuning his piece, a mixed-media collage of family photos overlaid with shattered glass shards spelling brother. Alex directed with infectious energy, stealing kisses between critiques, while Mark's steady presence grounded the frenzy. "This family's chosen now," he murmured to Brandon one night, arms wrapped around him on the couch as snow fell outside. Their kiss deepened, exploratory, promise unfolding. Opening night crackled with electric anticipation, the storefront aglow under strung bulbs, wine flowing from thrift store decanters. Word had spread, social shares, radio spots on 89.7, drawing a crowd that spilled onto the sidewalk. Allies in flannel, queer kids wide-eyed with possibility, even a smattering of Milford defectors. Justin's piece anchored the entry, its raw intimacy stopping visitors cold. Brandon's abstracts drew gasps, colors evoking the heart's erratic pulse. Alex emceed with charm, mic in hand. "Tonight, we honor the truths that emergencies, medical, emotional, force us to face. To the Harlans, your story's our story." Midway through, as a local folk duo strummed Hallelujah, the door swung open with a gust of winter wind. Mom and Dad, bundled in parkas, faces etched with the road's toll. Justin's breath caught, Alex's hand a stealth squeeze. They wove through the throng, Mom clutching a poinsettia like a shield, Dad's eyes scanning the art with gruff curiosity. "Heard about this on the radio," Mom said, hugging Justin fiercely. "Couldn't stay away." Dad nodded at Brandon, voice rough. "Proud work, son." Milford's loss. The reconciliation unfolded in fits. Tears in the coat room, halting compliments over Chardonnay. Dad admitted his own regrets, a college flirtation buried under decades of steel-toed denial. Mom confessed prayers answered in unexpected ways. No grand speeches, just the quiet mending of threads. Lisa's shadow lingered, her posts deleted after community backlash, a half-assed apology voicemail ignored, but it paled against this fragile dawn. Yet fate, that capricious bitch, wasn't done. 2 nights later, as the pop-up's buzz peaked with sold pieces and local press clips, Brandon collapsed during a late cleanup. One moment, he was stacking chairs, laughing at Mark's pun about framing commitment. The next, he crumpled, chest seizing like a vice. Justin dropped his broom, dialing 911 as Alex cleared space, Mark cradling Brandon's head, whispering urgencies. The ambulance sliced through slushy streets, sirens wailing a reprise of that October nightmare. At the ER, déjà vu gripped, monitors frantic, docs swarming with defibrillator carts on standby. V-fib, a nurse barked, shocking Brandon's frame in jolts that arched him off the gurney. Justin paced the hall, Alex's arms a vice, Mark white-knuckled beside them. Hours stretched, surgeons debating bypass versus ablation. The truth of Brandon's condition laid bare. Scar tissue from the initial episode, exacerbated by stress's relentless grind. He needs open heart, the lead cardiologist said finally, charts in hand. Full repair. It's major, but viable. The waiting room vigil was a descent. Coffee gone cold. Mark's sketches abandoned. Alex's playlist silenced. Dawn crept in, painting the windows rose. When the surgeon emerged, stable. He'll pull through, but recovery's long. And we found something during prep. Justin's gut clenched. What? The doc hesitated, glancing at the chart. Anomalous coronary, rare, congenital. Explains the arrhythmias. But also incidental. A small mass on the adrenal gland. Will biopsy post-op, but it could be why the stress hits so hard. Endocrine tie-in. The words landed like a sucker punch, potential tumor, hormone havoc, a biological footnote to the emotional wars. Mark buried his face in hands. Alex pulled Justin close, murmuring, one crisis at a time. When they wheeled Brandon to recovery, tubes snaking like accusations, his eyes fluttered open, locking on Justin's. Sorry. Again, he croaked, voice athread. Justin gripped the bedrail, tears blurring. Shut up. Just fight. ICU days blurred into a haze of beeps and blooms. Lilies from the pop-up crew. Cards from strangers touched by their art. Mark camped bedside, reading aloud from pulp sci-fi. Alex ferried meals. His design firm's flexibility a godsend. Justin split time between looms and liaisons, sketching Brandon's profile in repose, vulnerability etched in every line. The biopsy confirmed, benign adenoma, hormone secreting but operable, a villain unmasked. Explains the anxiety spikes, the endocrinologist noted. Adrenaline overload. Treatable. As Brandon mended, visitors trickled. Mom with quilts, dad with mill gossip, even a contrite Lisa via text. Heard. Wishing well. Sorry for the noise. Forgiveness simmered, not boiled over, but it flavored the broth. One evening, as snow melted into slush outside, Brandon beckoned Mark closer, their hands intertwining under the blanket. When I get out. Wanna make this official. Mark's grin split wide. Thought you'd never ask. Justin's heart swelled. A mirror to his own joys. Alex's proposal of cohabitation over post-ICU tie. Rings unspoken but rings in their future. Brotherhood, once a battlefield, bloomed into alliance. The emergency a scalpel-carving truth from scar. Spring unfurled in Columbus like a hesitant truce. Dogwoods blushing pink against the Scioto's thaw. The city's pulse quickening with farmers markets and rooftop parties. Brandon's recovery was a marathon of milestones. Stitches out. First unassisted steps down the hall. The adrenalectomy a laparoscopic footnote that banished the tumor's tyranny. He moved in with Mark full-time. Their Clintonville bungalow a haven of half-finished sculptures and half-eaten pizzas. The couple's rhythm sinking like gears long rusted. Domestic bliss looks good on you, Justin teased during a porch swing visit. beers sweating in the May heat. Brandon's laugh was fuller now, unshadowed. Yeah, well, turns out vulnerability's the best aphrodisiac. Justin's world steadied too. The pop-ups ripple-birthed opportunities. A gallery scout offered a solo show for his collage series, Fractured Kin, with proceeds to heart health nonprofits. Alex's studio launch coincided, their joint venture, Rivera and Harlan Designs. A queer creative hub blending graphics and fine art, clients lining up from indie bands to activist orgs. Cohabitation sealed it. Justin's brushes migrated to Alex's loft, closets merging like lives, mornings a tangle of limbs and lattes. This is it. Ha! Alex murmured one dawn, tracing Justin's collarbone as sunlight slanted through blinds. The after happily ever after. Justin kissed him slow, tasting forever. Damn right. Milford's mending was slower, a patchwork of gestures over grand gestures. Dad's first visit to the city was stiff, khakis clashing with the short North's bohemia, but he lingered at the gallery opening, nodding at Justin's pieces with a gruff, "Hits home, son." Mom organized a family barbecue redux, sans shotguns, potato salad under the oak, no slurs, just halting toasts to new chapters. Lisa faded to irrelevance, her spite a cautionary tale traded at NA meetings she swore off socials for. Even Coach Riley's obituary in the Milford Gazette, heart attack, ironic coda, prompted a quiet bonfire where Brandon and Justin torched old yearbooks, flames devouring ghosts. The true revelation crystallized on a sweltering July 4th, back in the farmhouse yard where it all ignited. Fireworks boomed overhead, stars bursting in patriotic defiance. But the real show was earthly. Family sprawled on blankets, Alex and Mark grilling veggie skewers, cousins' kids chasing sparklers. Brandon pulled Justin aside mid-fest, 2 beers in hand, the Oak's tire swing creaking empty nearby. "Remember that first year night?" he started, voice low under the pops. "When I said I was scared of what people saw in me?" Justin nodded, firelight dancing in his eyes. "Yeah. Let us hear." Brandon's gaze softened, vulnerability a well-worn coat. "It wasn't just fear of being bi. It was you. How open you were, even after I shit on you. Made me see I could be too. That emergency saved more than my heart." He clinked bottles, the sound a benediction. "Love you, little bro. For real this time." Tears pricked, but Justin blinked them back, pulling him into a hug that crushed the breath from them both. "Ditto, asshole. Now go smooch your man before Dad side-eyes." Laughter bubbled, free and full, as they rejoined the fray, Alex's arm slinging around Justin's waist, Mark's wink to Brandon, Mom's knowing smile over Esmore's. As the finale lit the sky in cascades of red, white, and blue, Justin leaned into Alex, the crush of bodies a tapestry of chosen kin. Humiliations had forged them barbecue barbs, festival fists, scalpel truths, but from the forge emerged grace. Brothers unbroken, loves unapologetic, a family humanized by the fractures. In America's heartland sprawl, where corn whispered secrets to the wind, they'd carved a space not just survivable, but sacred. The truth, revealed in crisis, wasn't a weapon anymore, it was wings. And as embers cooled and crickets chorused, Justin whispered to the stars, "We made it." The night, vast and forgiving, whispered back,